Fairport Convention. 8:20 the time. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Mornings with Ed show on the all-new Voice of Laguna. Glad you're here. Again, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I said this yesterday. As hot as it gets, please, please, please protect your pets today. When at all possible, keep them indoors and as cool as can be, and keep them out of a car. Essentially is what I'm saying. Do not take them with you on errands, and don't leave them in the car, to be sure. In any case, do you have elderly parents, or are you yourself approaching 80? You may be one of these really special people. And so you hear talk, when you hear President Biden talk, he's had a lifetime problem with stammering and stuttering, and he's overcome that, and he's very deliberate when he speaks. And I find him, regardless of where you stand on what, I find him quite sharp for his age. Here's a guy he's 80, right? 80 something. And he's quite sharp, or he will be 80 something soon. I find him quite sharp. The mental acuity, to me, seems to be there. I see other people around the same age, not so much with that same mental acuity. And, we all kind of think that may happen at some point. It's the fear that lives in your mind. If you're in your 40s or 50s or even 60s, there's a fear in your mind that you're not going to be as sharp as you currently are. So, in the largest observational study to date on SuperAgers, and SuperAgers are people in their 80s who have brains as sharp as those that are 30 years younger. Researchers in Spain found key differences in lifestyle that might contribute to these older adults' razor-sharp minds. SuperAgers in this study had more gray matter in parts of the brain related to movement, and they scored higher on agility, balance, and mobility tests than typical older adults, even though the physical activity levels of the two groups were the same. Though SuperAgers report similar activity levels to typical older people, it's possible they do more physically demanding activities like gardening or stair climbing. From lower blood pressure and obesity levels to increased blood flow to the brain, there's a lot of direct and indirect benefits of being physically active that might contribute to improved cognitive abilities in old age. So this study was published yesterday in the Lancet Healthy Longevity Journal. It followed 64 SuperAgers and 55 cognitively normal older adults who were part of the Valechas project. It's a long-term research project on Alzheimer taking place in Madrid. So in a battery of tests, the Spanish SuperAgers scored lower than typical older adults in levels of depression and anxiety. Mental health issues like depression are known risk factors for developing dementia. SuperAgers also told researchers they'd been more active in midlife, had been happy with the amount of sleep they got, and they were independent in their daily living. And as we know, we talked about this last week, poor sleep is a key risk factor for cognitive decline. The study adds to what we already know. Super aging isn't just the ability to perform well on a cognitive test. So it's associated with it's associated with slower and less pronounced brain atrophy in regions that are critical for memory and language, and possibly slower age-related declines in walking and mobility. And I'm right now, I'm kind of shaking my head going, I need to exercise more, man. I need to take that yoga class I've been talking about taking. So the study's good news for people in their 30s and 40s who may want to improve their health by incorporating more exercise, stress, stress reduction, and other healthy habits like changing your diet as well. The take-home point here, and what I'm reading in this test, is for people in midlife that they need to be enthusiastically modifying lifestyle factors. all of us, especially those factors that we know have an impact: increasing physical fitness, reducing cardiovascular risk, optimizing mental health, and getting appropriate care for any mood disorders. And that, improving your long-term brain health, really. Most people's brains shrink as they grow older. In SuperAgers, however, studies have shown the cortex responsible for thinking and decision-making and memory remains much thicker and shrinks more slowly than people in their 50s and 60s. So to be a superager, the term for Northwestern Superaging program, they coined that term. A person has to be over 80 and undergo extensive cognitive testing. Acceptance in the study occurs if the person's memory is as good or better than cognitively normal people in their 50s and 60s. Only 10% of all the people who apply qualify. SuperAgers are required to have outstanding episodic memory. That's the ability to recall everyday events and past personal experiences. But then SuperAgers just need to have at least average performance on the other cognitive tests. This is according to Emily Rogalski. She's a cognitive neuroscientist at the Feinberg School of Behavioral Science. It's important to point out that when we compare SuperAgers to the average agers, they have similar levels of IQ. So the differences that we're seeing there are not just due to intelligence. SuperAgers share similar traits. They challenge their brain every day, reading or learning something new. A lot of them continue to work into their 80s. They tend to be positive. SuperAgers are also social butterflies, surrounded by family and friends, and they can often be found volunteering in the community. And as the current study found, they also stay active physically. So more gray matter in certain parts of the brain is key here. All participants in this research underwent brain scans, blood tests, and other lifestyle and cognitive assessments when they entered the study and were re-examined annually for 4 years. Brain scans showed SuperAgers had greater gray matter volume than typical older adults in areas of the brain that are responsible for cognitive functioning, spatial memory, and overall memory. And in addition, some of the most impressive changes in gray matter volume were in areas of the brain that are connected to motor activity or movement, as well as memory. And what I found interesting is the study found SuperAgers were just as likely to have the same levels of apogenes, APOE, including APO4, a red flag risk for Alzheimer's disease, as normally aging adults. However, that finding is not new. They knew about this about 10 years ago. SuperAgers perform better on a range of measures, memory, physical condition, speed, and mental health, regardless of the levels of blood biomarkers of Alzheimer's disease. Earlier research found a genetic predisposition for the ability to keep the mind sharp well into old age. Examination of donated brains of SuperAgers have found bigger, healthier cells in the cortex, one of the first areas of the brains that's affected by Alzheimer's. Brains of SuperAgers also had a lot more von economoneurons. That's a rare type of brain cell thought to allow rapid communication across the brain. So far, the corkscrew-like von economoneuron has only been found in humans, great apes, elephants, whales, dolphins, and oddly enough, songbirds. So the story here isn't simply that SuperAgers are at lower risk of developing dementia. The lifestyles is the story here, the type of lifestyle you lead. This is a key reason to study SuperAgers and to continue studies like this, as they might help us uncover protective mechanisms that act on known dementia risk factors to lessen or minimize the risk of age-related cognitive decline and brain changes. Fascinating study. I can't wait to thumb through the rest of it. I can't wait to read the rest of it this weekend. And we'll keep on top of this. And if you have older parents or you're nearing that age yourself, or even if you're middle-aged, 40s, 50s, 60s, think about lifestyle changes. Think about more exercise. 8:30 the time. It's the Mornings with Ed show on the all-new voice of Laguna.